Welcome to the Mission Employable podcast. My name is Ryan West. I am your host. We have a great show for you today. We're in studio. I want to thank the guests very much. If you're watching us on our YouTube channel, we really appreciate that. Another outlet for us to get information out there. Today's show is all about what Broadlawns Medical Center is doing to cultivate talent in the very community that Broadlawns sits. And we have the perfect guest for this for a lot of reasons, which we'll get into. Broadlawns Medical Center strives to build a healthy community through the delivery of accessible, cost-effective, and high-quality patient care. I stole that right from the website. Great information. Joining me on the microphone to talk, all things Broadlawns talent is Dennis Henderson, who is the teach/tech coordinator. Dennis, thank you for joining us. It's great to see you, and welcome to the Mission Employable podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Absolutely. A lot of folks don't know this, but Dennis is a great partner, as is Broadlawns, with Iowa Workforce Development. We've been over there several times. You really are the perfect guest for this as we talk about this. And, you know, not just because of what you're doing there, but you're from the communities we were talking about before here, right in that area. Let's kick this high level interview. Let's kick this interview off with a high level overview of what your role is with Broadlawns and how your unique background really brought you to this position.
Okay, so I started off as a Urban Dreams employee.
Yep.
So Urban Dreams is funny. I knew Wayne when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And
Wayne Ford.
Yeah, Wayne Ford,
Yep.
the former representative.
Yep.
He and the founder of Urban Dreams. He was a football player for Drake.
Yep.
So me and my brother used to go up to Drake, and we used to carry their helmets and their shoulder pads and stuff. And for that, he talked to coach into letting us run through the tunnel so we can get in the games and watch the games.
Yeah, very
so,
cool.
You know, fast forward 30 years, and next thing you know, I'm working for Wayne.
Yeah.
And one of the first programs I created was called Growing Through Gardens. It was trying to get urban kids into agriculture.
Yeah.
So Vilsack gave us a grant, and we worked that program. And from there, I went to Gateway to College. And Gateway to College, we turned that program around. We did really well with that program. And then they created Teaching Tech. And for some reason, they thought I was the ideal person to run that program.
It's funny. And you were at Urban Dreams for how long?
I was at Urban Dreams for approximately 4 years before.
Which is right down the road from Broadlawns for those medical center, for those who aren't familiar. And that's where the tie-in is. And how did you then get linked up with Broadlawns? You know, was it just a partnership between Urban Dreams and Broadlawns?
Okay, so originally what happened is Jody and Wayne got together.
Yep, Jody, who was the former...
Jody Jenner, the former CEO of Broadlawns.
Gotcha, okay.
So they get together because 22nd Street was identified as the most dangerous street in Des Moines.
Yep.
So we were going to do like a breadbasket, a get out information, letting the community know that there's resources inside the community that people could have access to.
Right.
So we did a 22nd Street walk. And what we did is we passed out flyers of different resources in the neighborhood that people had easy access to.
Right.
And gave them, you know, like Broadlawns information and what they can and could not do for, you know, individuals in that neighborhood. And so that's where we started our partnership with Broadlawns.
With Broadlawns, which then ultimately leads to you then going over there, which is where I met, you know, so many people here at Iowa Workforce Development have been part of what you're doing as well. What year was that? Was that early 2000s then when you're talking about for there?
Okay, when I made the transition, I started out at Urban Dreams, let's say 2013.
Okay.
And I went all the way to 2017.
Gotcha.
17 is when I did the crossover.
Gotcha. Okay. And if you're familiar or not familiar with Urban Dreams, you can check out Isaiah Knox was on previous episode where he talks all about Urban Dreams and the great stuff they're doing there as well. And, you know, the premise here is so Dennis can talk about what they're doing at Broadlawns Broadlawns Medical Center. Sorry, too many podcasts in one day today. Sorry, I'm tongue-tied. Because it's so unique because you guys are really trying to grab those folks within the community and put them into the program. And that leads kind of the next question, Dennis, I'm going to talk to you about. Talk to us about when and why and how that teach and tech concept, you know, came about. What push that to where it is today?
Okay, so once again, we go back to Wayne Ford and Jody Jenner.
Yeah.
After the Gray shooting out in Baltimore, and the country was on fire, they went out there, and Wayne knew some folks, the people of Johns Hopkins. He was had a relationship with Johns Hopkins Hospital president and the college president, and they had a program called the Anchor Program, where they took people from the inner cities and they got them entry-level jobs at the college and hospital. So they brought that concept back to Des Moines, but Jody wanted to take it a step further. He said, I don't want these young people to come in here from these areas of despair and only get entry-level jobs. He said that doesn't do them any good. I want to start them on a career path. So they come back, and that's how Teaching Tech was formed. And
it's so, again, it was Freddie Gray shooting, right? Which was, I think, 2015-ish, somewhere in that area. And so the concept in Baltimore, because I've heard Wayne talk about this before too, where it was getting those kids, young adults in the inner cities, ingrained into a program in the healthcare or the colleges. And so the concept made sense here because, as you said, 22nd Street was the most dangerous street in the Des Moines area. And, oh, by the way, there just happens to be Broadlawns Medical Center real close right there.
So, and another thing you got to understand that was the impetus behind this move was the 50314 and 50316 area codes were identified as having the highest unemployment rate. And this is when we were at record low unemployment.
That's right.
We were like at 2.3% unemployment. We led the country almost in our employment. I think we was number 2 in the country.
We had a big span there where we were that low for over a year. I mean, it really, even through the winter, which is really kind of odd. So that all ties in, which is then we're in the Teaching Tech. And I want to real quick, if you go out to your guys' website, if you just Google Broadlawns, just go to broadlawns.org or just Google Broadlawns Medical Facility or Healthcare. You have a job openings piece, and then there's an apprenticeship program, and you guys actually have the Teaching Tech program at the top of there. And talk to us what that Teaching Tech program really can do for those individuals.
Okay, so what it really does is, we take young people with barriers to employment. And barriers to employment means a lot of different things. A lot of people think it only means a criminal background, but it means more than a criminal background. It could be a single-parent mother. It could be a disability. It could be just entry-level jobs all your life. Anything that has hindered a person from doing the job that they want to do as a person. So we take these folks and we get them on a career path. So we do a CNA program, which is really the first steps to a career in healthcare, because in a lot of fields, that's your prereq. You have to do that to go on to your nursing and some of the other your medical fields. So we get them their CNA. We partner with DMAC. DMAC's been a great partner. And the reason we partnered with DMAC, we chose DMAC. We first started out with another company, but then we chose DMAC because they had transferable credits. And how can we get these people to the next level if they don't have transferable credits? So it was important to us as an organization to make sure that these people had transferable credits so they could go to the next level. You can go to your CMA, your RN, your respiratory therapist, and things of that nature, and take those 6 college credits that you get, because we do the advanced and we do the basic, and you end up with 6 college credits.
So how long is the program for, and like when are what are your time frames on those throughout the year then?
Okay, so we do we do 4 a year. We do 3 adults, which is our teach program, and we do 1 tech program that's in the summer. So we just had a graduation class. We graduated 9 out of the 10 people that participated in the program. So
and those,
we're proud of that number.
Absolutely. And isn't that typically a class size is around there, 9, 8, 9, 10, 11? We try to keep it there.
We cap it at 10 because anything after 10, you have to pull in more instructors.
Gotcha.
So they got a 10-to-1 ratio.
So somebody going through that program takes them how long then?
It takes them approximately 10 weeks.
Okay, 10 weeks.
Well, matter of fact, it's 8 weeks.
Okay. And when they're done, a lot of those folks then stay on with you guys? Or
Yeah,
what?
we offer everybody that completes the program employment.
Yeah, pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. And that's full-time throughout the week they're going through that program?
Yeah, it's a full-time. So we fast-track you.
Yeah.
So what it usually takes a whole semester to do, we do in that 8 weeks. But we also have other things that we do. We do like the DMAC stuff.
Gotcha.
So
Gotcha.
that's a lot of soft skills. We shadow around
Sure.
the hospital, things of that nature.
Okay, so the folks that come into the program, what are the age ranges on those?
Okay, so for our adults, it could be 18 to 80.
Yeah.
And for our high school students, it's incoming seniors and graduating seniors.
Okay. And the folks, sticking with the adult theme real quick, those folks, is that a lot of that now word of mouth? Somebody goes through the program and they pass someone on? Because I talk about, I cannot stress this as a must, you guys plug folks right from your community, right? And so how do you get so many of those folks to get engaged, or how do they find out about it?
Okay, so that's the thing, word of mouth.
Yeah.
I mean, really, in the Black community, it's like the barbershop.
It's a real thing. It's not made up.
It's where people get their information,
right.
believe it or not.
Yeah.
So I mean, I make sure I visit the local barbershops. I make
community
sure that,
outreach is what you're doing.
I make sure that I visit the nonprofits. We got about 4 or 5 nonprofits right in our immediate area, right there. So we get the words out. We go to a lot of events.
Yeah.
We partner with the high schools, IJAG, and other organizations. So we make sure that we get down to the homeless shelters.
Yeah.
Because people don't understand. At the homeless shelter, a person could be one job away.
Yeah.
From getting his life back.
Totally. I mean, we had Melissa O'Neill on, who talks about from community home and shelters, and she said the same thing. And employers just don't realize that, or don't know it. Not because they're against it, they just don't know some of these facts. She made some really good claims there. You are from that community too, right? I mean, I don't know. Let's talk about that. Do you think how much do you think that helps you? I mean, is there just more of a trust factor with that too, you think?
It is a trust factor. I mean, you do build relationships like anybody else.
Yeah.
You probably know your neighbors, and
Sure.
and you guys build that rapport, and
right.
So I mean, it is a trust factor, but it's also, people want more for their communities.
Yeah.
I don't care what community you live in.
Exactly, right.
One of the great things about our program is, even if the person doesn't make it with us,
right,
and they live in our community,
right,
we have provided them a skill, where now they can take that skill somewhere else,
right,
but they're still productive and positive in our neighborhoods,
right.
So that tax dollar is still coming to our community. We still benefit from, the skill that they develop, at Broadlawns.
Yeah. So I'm really beating this question to death here. Sorry, we're on the same second question here, but do you, other communities, no matter where they're at in the state of Iowa, other employers, they can all be doing these things is my focal point here, right? As long as you have the person like yourself who's invested to do it, tell us why those other entities or communities can't do it. I mean, there's really no reason other than they're just not out trying to do it, right? Is that a fair assessment in your opinion?
Well, I tell people all the time that it's like, who's going to take, you got a guy with a gun, and he only got one bullet in it.
Right.
But who's going to take that bullet?
Yeah.
So a lot of times these companies have to be unafraid and go out and say, well, I'm going to take this bullet for this cause.
Sure.
Because people feel like, if I'm wrong on this and something happens, it's going to fall back on my company and I'm going to go bankrupt.
Sure. Yeah.
So, I mean, there is some...
taking the opportunity, thinking outside of the box to hire people.
Yeah. I mean, it is real fear. But here's what you got to look at as you're going forward. Future Ready Iowa did this years ago, before these crises started.
Yep.
Before COVID, we came up with Future Ready Iowa. We knew we're going to run into a skills deficit.
For sure.
But we still have people who are reluctant to go ahead and start getting these folks the skills
Yep.
so that in the future they'll have the workforce that they need.
Yeah.
So IWD has been ahead of the bell curve.
Yeah.
When it comes to,
we didn't even pay you to say that. Pay you to tell. Yeah. You're right.
Serious.
Yeah, you're right.
And Broadlawns just piggyback. I mean, you guys were saying it. Broadlawns just went out and did it.
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
It was a win-win for everybody.
Yeah.
Broadlawns was going to get skilled employees that they know they were skilled because they trained them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It met that need, and it also met a community need.
For sure.
Because we needed these people to have that revenue inside those communities so that our tax base would be broadened and we could get some of the access to some of that stuff that other communities have.
Yeah, for sure. No, I appreciate you saying that about IWD, and certainly it starts with the Director Townsend here and the governor's office. And there's been a lot of people, a lot of other state agencies involved in that. The pandemic just really ripped the Band-Aid off on how it is. So yeah, great stuff there. Okay. Talk to us a little more about the partnerships. You mentioned a few of those partners. That's such a big thing, and how have you guys? You mentioned Urban Dreams, but there's others you work with, like for DMAC, for instance. You just pick up the phone and call them. How do you create some of those partnerships? With those other employers or community-based entities.
Well, one of the things I got lucky, I knew Wayne. And Wayne had a lot of contacts.
Wayne knows a lot of people, that's for sure.
Yeah. So some of the times, he had took me to enough meetings that I was able to
network,
build relationships with folks. And then when we came to them, like I said, it's a win-win situation.
Yeah.
You go to a community college and say, you're going to provide this service for all X amount of people.
Sure.
Who's going to turn down 40 people a year,
right.
Paid for students?
Yeah.
Right. You can't beat it. I mean, and if the program's successful as we were, we would have won national awards.
Yeah.
And you get to attach your name to that.
Yeah.
Success is an aphrodisiac.
For sure. Yeah.
Once you start succeeding, it's easy to attract other people.
Well, yeah. I mean, you guys are going on 7-8 years with this program. I mean, it's pretty. 10 years. I know we're not there yet, but getting close, and to get through the pandemic, and in a healthcare facility of all things.
In healthcare.
Yeah. Do you think that I'm putting you on the spot a little bit on this one? Sorry, but do you think that other healthcare facilities around the state of Iowa could be doing some of these same things? I mean, maybe that's a no-brainer question, or maybe they're trying to do that. I don't know.
And you do see it quite a bit, Ryan. So your Unity Points, your Mercies, they're starting to take a hold of this.
Sure.
Because they're going to be plagued in the near future with, how are we going to replace these baby boomers?
Right.
Baby boomers are gone, so the need is going to grow exponentially, and you got to have a workforce, a 24/7 workforce when you're dealing in healthcare.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to come up with innovative ways to get a vibrant workforce. And this is just one way.
Yeah.
There's other things that you can do, but hopefully people expand this ideal where, Iowa can continue to lead as a model for what the country could be doing.
Yeah, that's great stuff. Well said. I totally agree. Why do you think, we've talked about Teaching Tech here, the program. Again, you can find out more by going to broadlawns.org or just type in Broadlawns, registered apprenticeship or career openings, or Google that, excuse me. Why do you think the Teaching Tech program is so successful? Do you think it's your guys' relentless drive? Why, if you had to kind of answer in one sentence, why do you think it's been so successful?
Because it started from the top.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
It's funny because one of the things that we could both agree on is if you're listening to a song on a radio station, they play it so much, it starts to grow on you.
Right.
I mean, so that's how Teaching Tech was.
Yeah.
We were so we shadowed 10 different areas in the hospital.
Yeah.
10 different areas. So we're there, 4 times a year with people coming through those areas.
Yeah, that's a
After
good point.
people start seeing these people, then they start looking at them as Broadlawns employees instead of people in a program.
Sure. Yeah, it's that simple. Huh? I mean, when you say that, simple's maybe not the right term, but on really it's just repetition and continuing to go through and drive through the program. Have you guys had family members through the program as well? Like brother, sister, or mother, daughter, husbands. You know what I'm saying? Husbands. Have you had any of that in the last 6 or 7 years that you're aware of?
You mean family members?
Yeah, they go through the program, which I think is
know,
pretty cool too.
Yeah. We have quite a not quite a few, but we do have some.
Yeah, that are ready to come through the program.
Yeah. So matter of fact, the niece of one of the graduates of the Teach program just completed the program.
Yeah, and what is, I don't know if I maybe got into the detail. The Teach program, what does that one do?
Teach is for adults,
okay,
and Tech is for the youth.
So the Teach is just going to give you a different training route than the Tech one.
It's the same training. It's
just for the adult.
It's just for adults.
Gotcha.
So if you're over 18, out of school, you can go to the Teach program. Oh. But if you're an incoming senior or graduating senior, you can participate in our summer program for youth.
So those incoming seniors, let's talk about that real quick. What has been your kind of overview of how that goes with those kids coming in that are at that age? And do they want to stay in the healthcare field? Is it kind of depends? I think it's important that they figure out what they do want to do and don't want to do as well. I mean, what do you see from that standpoint?
The greatest thing about it is these guys get to a place quicker than most other folks will.
Yeah.
Because they have shadowed in these different areas inside the hospital, so they get a good idea of what they want to do inside a hospital.
Yeah.
So we had 3 people that came through our Tech program, 1 med student and 2 pre-med students. So I mean, I'm like blown away when I think about that.
Yeah, is that recently?
So they got out of the program. Matter of fact, one of our pre-med students was the speaker at our last graduation, which was Friday.
Wow.
So
that's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, he comes in and he tells everybody about, the different changes that he went through.
Yeah.
How this had built that base for him to, propel himself off of.
Are those North High School students?
He went to Roosevelt.
Okay, Roosevelt. Oh,
but
wow.
I got
no kidding.
one person that went to North and two Roosevelts, two North and 1 Roosevelt.
Okay. Wow, that's pretty remarkable. That's a great answer.
Yeah.
I guess there's no better answer you can do. That's great stuff. Okay. Lastly, in the interest of your time and to meet our 30-minute camera roll here, where do you want to see the future of registered apprenticeship programs go within Broadlawns and expand over the next 5 to 10 years? Big dreams. What do you think?
So one of the things that I've always wanted to do, I wanted to create that ladder. Mm-hmm. I always wanted to see people go from CNA to CMA
to the top,
to administrator, to RN, to BSN, to MSIW. I mean, even when one of these guys graduates from med school, I'm just going to go berserk.
Sure.
Because that is my dream for these guys. Yeah. That you can come in, at the bottom rung.
Right.
And have every excuse not to pursue your dream. And then one program will turn your life around,
Yeah, that's pretty unbelievable. As far as you can tell, you guys, do you know that you're booked for the next class well in advance?
No, you don't. So you got to start hustling. So
give us some. How are we going to hustle on that? Right? Yeah. How can people get in touch with you?
Okay, so we just closed the application. Today.
Okay.
The application, because we had over 40 people apply. For this cohort that we're going to start on the 30th. But here's the thing. So we don't hold on to applications over 30 days. We can't hold on to it because of certain rules and regulations that we have. So you have to reapply every time.
Okay.
But it's a hustle.
Yeah, for sure. And so you can do that by heading over to Broadlawns, Broadlawns website.
Yeah, you go to broadlawns.org, go to the career page, and on the left-hand side, you'll see career openings. Scroll down to the Teach or Tech internship and hit the apply button.
Okay, get yourself
in there. As easy as that.
Awesome. Great stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, you have been listening to Dennis Henderson, who is the Teach and Tech Coordinator with Broadlawns Medical Center, a great partner for Iowa Workforce Development, as is Broadlawns, and so has Wayne been, for that matter, and Urban Dreams. Thank you very much for making time. It's great to see you.
Yep, no problem. Thank you for
Awesome.
having me.
Great stuff.